If you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or constantly being pulled in a million directions, you could be neglecting your own well-being by ignoring your needs and preferences. I'm going to show you how you can take those negative experiences and use them to develop a list of personal policies to help fight chronic indecision, resentment, and disappointment. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There are people out there with advanced degrees in human behavior, but you are the foremost expert on you, which is why this video is going to walk you through the process of developing the one list every adult should have in a journal, on an Apple Note, or in a Notion page somewhere. Your personal policies list. Personal policies are a set of specific rules or guidelines that you set for yourself to guide your behavior and decision-making in certain areas of your life. From really important things like how to set boundaries at work or with your family, to more mundane things like how do you decide where to sit on an airplane. Let's start with why you might want to work on a personal policies list right after you're finished watching this video. Personal policies help you clarify your priorities and set clear boundaries, which allows you to distinguish between things that are truly important and things that are less significant. This makes it easier for you to figure out how to use your time, energy, and resources. Having personal policies empowers you to take control of your life. Instead of making decisions based on external pressures or the expectations of others, you make choices that are in line with what you value, your preferences, and your desires. Personal policies also promote consistency in your behavior and in your choices. When you have established policies, you're less likely to make impulsive decisions or less likely to make decisions that are inconsistent with your desired outcome. Personal policies can be particularly helpful when dealing with interpersonal conflict or when your preferences conflict with the desires of other people. When you encounter a situation that challenges your values or your boundaries, your policies can serve as a reference point for both yourself and others, spelling out exactly what aligns with your specific value or your specific outcome. What's the difference between a personal policy and establishing boundaries? Setting boundaries primarily refers to establishing or communicating limits or expectations that you have of your own behavior as well as what you'll tolerate from others. Personal policies, on the other hand, are more like specific rules or guidelines that you set for yourself to guide your behavior or specific decision-making in certain areas of your life. There are generally two approaches to developing and expanding your list of personal policies. There's a top-down approach, where you take an inventory of your values, life domains, and resources and create policies in each important area. I use the bottom-up approach because it's easier and it also allows you to learn from crappy situations and decrease the likelihood that they'll happen again in the future. If we haven't met yet, hi, my name is Jay. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist who's worked as a behavioral scientist with organizations and individuals for the last 10 years. Stay to the end of the video if you want to see my actual personal policies list. Okay, here's how it works. Every time that I am pissed or upset or kicking myself for making a poor decision, I take the time to ask myself, what is it about this situation that's triggering my dissatisfaction or discomfort? Everything starts with self-reflection. Intentionally take a beat, and instead of being consumed with how angry or miserable you are or how upset you are with yourself about making a bad decision, take the time to ask yourself, why am I upset right now? What is it that's making me unhappy or uncomfortable? One of my oldest personal policies is that I don't spend more than one night at any friend's or family's house. It started because I was not excited and I was starting to feel a bit of dread whenever a friend or family member asked us to come visit. Now, being a military family, we live really far from friends and family, and I like my friends and family, so I was really confused as to what was making me so uncomfortable in thinking about going to visit them. Well, it's most likely the sleeping arrangements. You see, I have a consistent schedule. I have a solid morning and evening routine, but I don't feel comfortable telling my hosts that I'll be going to bed at 9 o'clock when they want to stay up till midnight. And it's also a little weird sneaking out of their house at 5 a.m. to go to a CrossFit gym that I just looked up on the internet the night before. Great, I finished step 1, identifying the pain point. For me, there was a few pain points around the sleeping arrangements. There was the social awkwardness of having to excuse myself in the middle of a lively. There's the feeling like I'm a little strange getting up at 5 a.m. during my vacation time. There's also the disruption of my schedule, which is something that I highly value, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable imposing on other people. So my schedule, my sleep routine, and my workout routines are important to me. And also minimizing social awkwardness and preserving my relationships is also something that's important to me. Once you've identified the pain point, you can move on to step 2. What can I control? Now, I can't control the perceptions of others, but I can control my behaviors and the interactions that I have with other people. I can't control how far we live from our friends and family, but I can control where I live when I visit them. So my policy is going to focus on things that are within my control. I can control my sleeping arrangements, and by controlling my sleeping arrangements, I also control the types and frequencies of interactions that I have with people in the mornings and in the evenings, which is what I've identified as being the most uncomfortable for me. Once I know what's in my control, the next step is to identify what resources you have to wield that control. It's important that you ask yourself, what resources can I consistently commit to this policy? Committing to a hotel for every long weekend is probably beyond our financial means. And it would seriously limit the amount of visits we'd be able to make. And that would conflict with my competing value of personal connection. Personal policies allow you to deconflict competing values before you're faced with them. In my case, I could give up my morning workout and my evening bedtime for one night without much disruption, allowing my personal policies to kick in only in visits requiring more than one night stay. Once you've identified your pain point, identified what you can control in the situation, and what resources you can throw at it, you're going to want to write it down. You can see that my personal policies have been a staple in my paper journals and now live permanently in my Notion life operating system. You can see that I have policies related to important areas of my life, like when I check and respond to emails at my full-time job, and mundane things like what color clothes do I wear. These have been collected from years of negative and positive experiences that I took the time to learn from and codify into the set of personal policies. Do not skip this step. Write it down in a journal, a digital document, or any format that works for you. Don't let all of your hard work go to waste. Writing it down helps you solidify these policies into your brain, and having them be easily accessible allows you to refer to them when you need them. Step 5 is do the damn thing. Implement your policy. Now, my decision for visiting friends and family is quite simple. When someone asks if I can come for an overnight visit, my answer is generally yes, as long as I can afford the transportation to get there. If the visit requires more than one night, and I can afford the transportation and the hotel room, then my answer is also yes. Otherwise, the answer is no. There are 3 hidden benefits to working out and writing down your personal policies like this. First, taking the time to think about what you value and what's important to you and acting in a way consistent with those values has been shown to improve feelings of well-being. Secondly, it helps combat decision fatigue because you've predetermined how you'll make decisions moving forward. Thirdly, for those of us who struggle with social situations, it provides a socially acceptable way to communicate your preferences and boundaries to other people. If I'm unable to visit someone, I've already worked through my reasons why that's not going to be possible for me. If someone wants me to come over for the week, I can easily say, I'd love to see you, but unfortunately the hotel for that week is quite expensive. Maybe I can come visit later in the month or another time of year where I could afford the hotel stay. If they say something like, no, it's okay, you can stay with me, I can explain to them that I have a personal policy where I only spend one night at people's houses. I have yet to receive much pushback after I explain to someone that I have established a personal policy, but if you've tried this with others and you've experienced more pushback, leave it in the comments section down below, and you might want to check out this video right here where I talk about setting and maintaining boundaries.